Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson, and welcome back to the Alien Force Retrospectives. And today we're going to be looking at episode 32 of Ben 10 Alien Force, Don't Fear the Repo, aka Vreedle. And that, actually, before I start into this, I'd like to get into some backstory about why this episode technically has two names. When this episode originally aired, it was technically called it was actually called Don't Fear the Repo on the Guide channel. As such, if you went to Cartoon Network, if you looked up Cartoon Network and then if you had a cable box and scrolled to the Cartoon Network, this episode would be listed as Don't Fear the Repo. However, when the episode was actually aired, it was called Vreedle, rather than that. As such, for a while, this episode was pretty much this episode is considered two names: the one that it was aired with, and and its code name. For the DVD, it's listed. It's called "Don't Fear the Repo," but I'm just gonna mention it. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. As I guess it doesn't really matter. I just want to get into that right now. So anyway, this episode introduces new villains. In this case, we're introduced to a couple of, I guess you could say, alien hillbillies known as the Vreedle brothers. They are a pair of gun-wielding redneck alien repo men / weapons dealers. And I say weapons dealers because of events in later episodes, and they actually were alluded to before this episode. And Kevin's big score when Kevin met with Arjit to talk about getting the Max's holo viewer. Arjit mentioned Octagon Vreedle, who's the older brother of the Vreedle brothers. And I apologize for some jolting. My dog's right over there, and I hope he just stops moving. But anyway, pretty much what's going on in this episode is that the Vreedle brothers have been hired to repossess Chip from Julie. As such, they come to Earth. They tell her to hand him over. She won't. She calls Ben, and Ben is able to fend them off. But they did have a court order. Kevin looks it over, and while it isn't in English, he actually does know that he realizes it's legit, because while he was in the Null Void, he did do some repo work here and there. As such, they feel the best way to get the Vreedle brothers off their back is to go to the source of all this and repeal the court order and so, of course, how they do this is that Ben and Kevin wind up taking on a ship, but it's another spaceship. It's the spaceship that Lou from the moon base lent to the group in Birds of a Feather to help them get back to Earth. And apparently Kevin never returned it, which actually does kind of feel in character. And they pretty much go off planet to try and settle this thing in court, while Gwen and Julie stay behind and guard ship, and for good reason, because the Vreedle brothers do return. And they're packing heavier firepower. As such, Ben and Kevin go to the. As such, while Ben and Kevin are dealing with the court proceedings, Gwen and Julie are trying to fend them off, and pretty much that's the rest of the episode. Actually, there's really not much to talk about when it comes down to the plot. What you see is what you get. What you get, the Vreedle brothers are attacking Gwen and Julie, and they're doing their best to fend them off. And we do get some nice stuff with Chip, as we see more of Chip's abilities here. As previous episodes have shown, Chip is kind of akin to a dog. As such, he's attached to Julie. He wants to keep her. He wants to stay with her, and it's afraid for not only its but also Julie's safety. So when the Vreedle brothers go after them, Chip actually does something that's very interesting. He creates a mecha suit for Julie with lasers, defenses, enhanced strength, everything, and I like that. It's just kind of something cute, but pretty much. Well, there isn't really much to the plot. Ben and Kevin do end up getting to the court, so they do talk to the judge, and something I kind of like is that bailiff is a hybrid. And when they go to the judge, it turns out that the person who ordered the repossession of Chip was Basil from the peer pressure episode. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it's called. It turns out the reason he wanted the repossession is because he heard about Chip's hand in the in the War of the Worlds, and so, well, but since Ship is technically his, he wants back his property, so they'll most likely cash in on him. Of course, Ben and Kevin trying to stop him, and we get to one of the more annoying aspects of Ben's arrogance as he thinks he can just win the case by flashing the Omnitrix to the judge and saying, I'm Ben 10, he's part of my team, it's all cool." Yeah, it's just painful, and what makes it worse is that it works, and it's just dumb. But bottom line, they do win the court case, and so they realize they have to call off the Vreedle brothers. But in the meantime, Gwen and Julie are still fighting them off, and eventually the Vreedle brothers manage to attach what's called a boot to Ship, which powers him down. Not enough to turn him back into a blob, but enough so that Julie's frozen in place. So they tried bringing Ship, as by extension Julie, onto their ship, but Ben and Kevin managed to return. I don't know how long, just like seconds? I don't know, it feels a little fast. Basil tells them that they're not getting paid. He's calling it off, prompting one of the Vreedle brothers, Rhomboid, to shoot him. And if you're not everyone not talking about the Vreedle brothers, it's because because I want to get into more detail about that in a little bit. But otherwise, it seems to destroy him, and they decide, if we can't get any money for repossessing him, then we'll just sell him on the black market. Of course, Ben goes alien to stop. Of course, there's still more fighting. Kevin knows how to get out of the boot, so he frees Julie. And, well, with the realizing that they're outnumbered, they decide to just run away. And that's pretty much it. Though Basil's not really dead. He was just split apart, and since he's a living pile of mechanized goo, he just came back together after the Vreedle brothers left, so... Yeah, if you're wondering, if my reaction and just kind of half-heartedness with this episode is anything to go by, I'm not really that much I don't really care that much about this episode. It's alright, nothing awful, but at the same time, it's not very memorable. Like, I remember everything else about it. I remember the Vreedle brothers. I remember Ship with the suit, which I thought was cool. I remember the court scene, and I even remember even when I was younger, it was painful to watch. I remember details, but I also forgot other things, mostly because the whole crux of this episode is just Ship's getting repossessed, fighting the Repo Men, trying to get it settled, just keep fighting the Repo Men. It's just, That's pretty much it. Just kind of overall with the episode. Nothing awful about it, but it's nothing great either. There are some nice little continuity details that I like. For example, like, the judge is from the same race as Wrath from X equals Ben plus 2. I like that, except he's gold, and apparently he knows Kevin. I like that his bailiff's a hybrid, and then he gets offended because when Basil's presenting his case, he goes as far as to insult the hybrid, calling them foul-smelling and uncouth, which I love. And of course the hybrid's pissed, like, hey, objection! It's really nice. It's just a nice bit of continuity. And again, I like that the Vreedle brothers were actually mentioned earlier in the show. So, and then that brings me to kind of what makes this episode more worth it: the Vreedle brothers. These guys are stupid, but unlike Simple, these guys are actually work. They're idiots, but they're fun to watch. Like, they're intentionally funny. Between them, there is Octagon and Rhomboid. Octagon is this slim guy, and he's kind of the brains of the operation. He's kind of the traditional farmer. Sorry, dog, again. Well, not really a farmer, but he's obviously more refined, but he's still kind of the country hick redneck persona that you would expect. While Rhomboid is bigger, stronger, the obvious muscle, and pretty much he just likes to blow stuff up. He just likes blowing stuff up, even to his own so much so that even his brother's like, dude, chill. Like, the opening scene of the episode is they're flying to Earth in their ship, which looks like a truck. One of their turn signals is on, so they get pulled over by essentially, he's still right there. He's shaking, and he's right there. And pretty much they get one of their turn signal is on, so they're pulled over by essentially what could be equivalent of a space cop. And of course, Octagon is like, oh, crap. Yeah, that's the thing with trying to do this in one take. Things can go wrong, especially when you're especially with your stand. Anyway, as I was talking about, Octagon is just gonna try and talk it out with the officer because it's just a turn signal. He even tells Rhomboid, just be cool, I got this. And Rhomboid just blows up the cop, and even he's like, that was an overreaction. It's really nice, and I like seeing them work off each other because they're two different brands of stupid, and they're fun to watch. And because of their behaviors, they're more erratic, they're more unpredictable, and obviously they're really just there for being idiots. Just kind of they're there for the action, for the stupidity, and it's enjoyable. It's very fun to watch them. I like seeing Octagon's reactions to Rhomboid's stupidity. He's the straight man between the two, but at the same time, he does have his own brand of crazy because he does like shooting things. He's considered that same. He's like that same personality. While Rhomboid is obviously the stupid one. Like, can we blow them up now, Octagon? Like, kind of like that. I like that. I like seeing them work off each other. They're the highlight of the episode. They're fun. And of course, no offense to anyone of that vernacular that's watching. I'm not even saying. I have to stop talking about it. But bottom line, they're one of the best parts. He's over there. I have to stop it. He's not getting in this. He can wait. But yeah, otherwise, this episode's not very memorable. Beyond them and the stuff with Ship, this episode's not very memorable for me. I remember it. I remember it more. I mean, it's more memorable than say Undercover for me, as I do remember it. Especially just for the name, but other things I just kind of passed by me, or I just kind of wanted to pass by me. Like, again, I mentioned how when they go to talk to the judge, Kevin wants to do it legally because, well, he's been in court before as the defense, but he actually does want to do this professionally. But Ben just wants to go around flashing the Omnitrix and say, "Hey, it's cool, I got this," and it's annoying, really annoying. It's really dumb, and it makes it even dumber is that it pays off. Apparently, the instant he flashed the Omnitrix, the judge already decided, okay, yeah, that's really it. And even when Ben destroys his seat, that's what happens. Ben winds up accidentally going Humongosaur in the middle of the trial, and he destroys the judge's table, and nothing happens. The judge's like, not guilty. Not guilty. Bear the Omnitrix, nothing to do. It annoys me, and it was painful to watch. When I was a kid, I turned the TV off at that point and turned it back on because I really didn't want to see what was going on. I really didn't. I thought it was going to end in train wreck, and the fact that it didn't just made me think, what? I don't know. That seems annoying, and it's just another symptom of Ben's of them trying to make Ben more like his 10-year-old self, even though they forgot he was 10 then, so you could forgive that immaturity. Now he's 15, and he has done some more mature things. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna stop harping on that because that does get on my nerves throughout season 3. But I'm getting off topic. Overall, the episode is just all right. It's kind of ranges from alright to eh. The best part is the Vreedle brothers for me. Otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it. You can pretty much just skip it if you wanted to. Only thing that's memorable was the Vreedle brothers, and they do come back in later episodes, so there's that. But otherwise, yeah, just eh. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and tune in next week where we look at a more memorable episode of this series. So, yeah, bye.